Hi everyone, this is Kara, aka the Coughing Cowgirl here, and this is my week 5 Trikafta update. I'll do an update on my health too, but I thought I should go through and give you guys kind of a breakdown of what I've been experiencing since I started Trikafta, how it's changed my life, side effects, and just kind of effects, good and bad, that I've gotten from this medication, and how it's changed my life, essentially. You'll have to bear with me because I have everything written down here, and I was planning on making more organized talking points so that I can post this video for you guys, but I did this probably about 3 weeks ago, and I've been updating it slowly, and I can't seem to get it together, so we'll have to deal with me reading off of this list. So, anyway, I think I should say we'll start with the benefits and how it's changed me overall. I'd have to say the craziest thing is just learning how to live now that I feel so differently. I feel pretty good for the most part, and the biggest change is probably that I just don't really have much of a cough anymore. I usually cough all day, all night. You guys would have usually heard me cough by now in these videos, and I'm a little bit short of breath right now, but it's just kind of like that time of night. I have had a sore throat the last few days, but I'll get into that too. But yeah, I almost don't have a cough, so when I do cough, it's almost shocking to me, and it surprises me and takes me off my feet a little bit. The cough I do have is very dry, and the sputum that I produce is not like my normal stuff. Normal CF mucus is thick. It varies in color, anywhere from tan to dark green to all kind of nasty colors. Since starting Trikafta, since about day 3, I went from having tan and nasty dark green mucus, and now my mucus is either very, very light bright yellow, or it's usually clear, and it's very small amounts, where before I had very copious amounts. So decreased cough and sputum production, for sure. That's the biggest impact on my life. Let's see. I'm kind of an interesting case because typically I was not on oxygen beforehand. I've only ever really been on oxygen when I'm very sick and admitted in the hospital, but not usually at home. And usually it's just for a couple days or if I have surgery. But this last hospital stay, I was very sick. I got a nasty virus or something, and we don't know what happened, but my oxygen needs increased pretty significantly, and I was on oxygen almost the entire 2 weeks I was there. I was able to get off of it like the last day or two, but I ended up being sent home on oxygen because they did some testing and it looked like I was probably going to need it. I'm happy to say I have not had to use oxygen at all since being home. And I was borderline when I got home, but over the last few weeks, I've watched my oxygen kind of go up. And now I sat around 95 or even 96, 97, which is high for me, and it's really good. Usually if you're under 89, that's when you need oxygen. So I have talked to some other people, and it seems like that's kind of the general consensus, is that you almost get better before you get worse. When you're going through the purge periods, don't be concerned if your oxygen needs go up. I promise you it will most likely balance out. So I'm happy to not be on oxygen. Let's see here. Oh, and increased appetite. You may or may not eat like a monster, and you may or may not gain weight, whether or not you need it. I don't have a scale at home. It got packed with all my stuff, so I don't know exactly what I weigh right now. But like I said, that last hospital stay was pretty hard on me. So I actually got down to like 134, and I'm usually around 139. And CF people know that if you lose 1 pound, it's pretty significant because lung function and weight seem to go hand in hand. So if your lung function is dropping, your weight is probably dropping as well. So I kind of balanced out around like 136 when I was discharged, and I'm probably way more now because I've been eating so much that, for instance, I had Popeyes twice today for dinner and then for second dinner on the way home. A huge 2 whole quarter pounds of fried shrimp. And I've been eating similarly to that for the last 5 or so weeks. So I'm on week 5, I think day 3 of week 5 right now, just to give you guys some perspective. I started Trikafta on November 26th, and it's December 26th, so technically it's about a month. And that was 3 or 4 days into a 2-week hospital stay that I started it. So I'm about, I don't know, it's like 3 weeks since I got out of the hospital, 2.5 weeks or something like that, just to give you guys some perspective. And then, let's see. So I think that covers most of like the benefits that I can put into words. I mean, I just feel overall better. It's so nice to not be constantly coughing and not have sputum all the time. And my sinuses have been more clear and I have energy and I can go ride my horse and I almost feel normal. Whereas this last hospital stay, like I was scared that it was gonna kind of be a downhill slope for me and I didn't know how much I'd be able to work or ride or if I was gonna have to carry an oxygen tank around with me every time I rode my horse or did lessons or if I'd have to be in the hospital every couple weeks. So you guys know I've been hospitalized 3 times in the last 4 months, and it's usually a week or 2 after I get out of the hospital that I'm sick and I have to go back in. So it's been a little longer than that now, and I'm hoping that that's not going to happen again. So with that being said, we'll get into kind of like more of the negative or side effects, if you will. One of them is the last couple of days I've had a bit of a sore throat and a raspy voice. You might be able to hear it, but it was much worse the other day. I thought that I may be getting sick, but I've done some reading and it turns out that sore throat and loss of your voice is actually a side effect of Trikafta. So I'm not sure, even still, if I'm getting sick or if this is just a side effect, but it's probably been about 4 days. And it was worse, and now it's a little better. I have a slightly increased cough and maybe just the tiniest junky feeling in my lungs, but not like a typical when I'm getting sick kind of thing. So we'll see how it plays out. Besides that, so these are kind of all over the place, what I've experienced over the last 4 to 5 weeks, and I'll try to give you guys around when that was happening. That way, if you're experiencing it too, then you'll understand that somebody else has gone through it too. So I'll start with the big one, which day 1, when I was in the hospital, probably the most intense side effect I had was really, really severe upper abdominal pain and bloating. Like my whole upper abdomen was pushed out and the pain radiated around to my back. And it felt like a burning pain, and it was bad. They gave me Tramadol and Tylenol, and they had Dilaudid, or I don't know how you say it, like on tap, ready for me to go if I needed it. Fortunately, I don't really like to take pain meds, and I'm very sensitive to them, and if I am going to get a side effect to a drug, I almost always get it, so I don't like to add more things to my plate than I need. But I did Tramadol and Tylenol as much as I could those first 2 days, and that helped dull the pain. I was in the hospital when this was happening, so it was nice I had their supervision. And I kind of took it as an opportunity with them not knowing much about like what's going to happen with this medication, what's a side effect, and maybe where those side effects are coming from, because it's one thing that I saw a lot of people are having this upper abdominal pain, but we don't really know why. So I was in-house, so I asked them if they would do a CT of my gut, and they did. And they didn't see anything. Like a lot of people were complaining that maybe it was their gallbladder or stuff like that. They didn't see anything besides me being FOS, which is normal for CF people, aka full of shit. So nothing abnormal there. So a lot of people are saying maybe it's the salt channels opening in your lower lungs or within your guts. Who knows at this point? But the pain is definitely something that's happening, and the time frame seems to vary from patient to patient. Mine only lasted those first 2 days. I get an occasional small burning feeling, like even now I have it like just a teeny tiny bit. But for the most part, it's just those first 2 days that it was kind of unbearable. And after that, it was fine. And that's how most of my, the major symptoms were. I didn't get much of a purge before starting Trikafta. I was purging tons of mucus anyway because of whatever virus I had. I was just spewing more mucus than I ever had in my entire life. Nasty tan mucus. So what I noticed with the Trikafta is it made my mucus more liquidy. So I was able to hack it up easier, or hack more of it up, I suppose. But again, that only lasted maybe 2 or 3 days. And then ever since then, it's been this minimal amount of clear to yellow mucus. Let's see here. Definitely make sure that when you take this medication, you are taking it with fat. It says it in the pamphlet. Read the pamphlet. The pamphlet is your friend. If you do not take it with fat, the medicine is not effective. And if you only take it with a little bit of fat, the medicine is not effective. I've been on it long enough that I can tell when I've taken it with enough fat and when I haven't. And if you're like me and sometimes you're not feeling well enough that you can get the fat that you need, I have some tricks for like what to do to get the fat I need. I'm disgusting and I actually like the taste of half and half. But even if you don't like it, maybe you could just do a shot of it just to get the fat that you need, because if not, you're taking the medication for nothing and you need to let it do its job. So half and half is super high in fat. So I just do like a little kind of like half of a small glass of half and half, and that's plenty. You could even put chocolate syrup and make it kind of like a shake. You could put half and half in your cereal, or you could just do like 2 big ass tablespoons of peanut butter. And those are kind of my go-tos when I'm not feeling well. Let's see here. Headaches. The headaches are pretty intense. I still get them occasionally, but they were pretty bad the first couple weeks. Drink water. Drink lots and lots of water. Like, I'm not a water drinker, and you just get super dehydrated on this drug. Since I don't drink much water, I tend to always carry a Gatorade with me so that I can at least be hydrated that way. But like, if you have a headache, drink water and then go and drink water again. It's bad. So the headaches are still going on, but they're really not bad. It's occasional, not like the first few weeks. Let's see here. Sore throat we talked about. My sinuses did drain for the first few days that I had the purge period. I probably had more of a purge in my sinuses than my lungs, but I do have pretty bad sinuses. I am still doing my antibiotic sinus rinse 1 to 2 times a day, because with it being flu season and stuff and me having terrible sinuses, I'm trying to protect myself, and I just think like this medication's not a cure, so this is going to help keep us clear and doing what we're supposed to. As far as treatments and medications, I've still been doing everything that I'm supposed to do. I haven't stopped any medication. I do the vest, the traditional Hillrom vest with nebulizer treatments twice a day. I do Zopanex, which is basically albuterol, twice a day, and Pulmozyme twice a day. I do not do 7%, but I haven't done that in years because I refuse to do it for personal reasons. But I didn't stop due to Trikafta or anything like that. The nice thing is, I don't always feel like I need my treatments or like they do very much for me. I don't cough. I don't get very much up when I do them, but I just want to make sure that I'm not getting worse. And there's been a couple nights that I went and stayed at a girlfriend's house, and usually I'll want to pack up my whole treatment and all of my stuff and bring it over there. But this time I just brought my nebulizer and I brought my little aerobica, and I did that, and I felt like that was sufficient. So that's nice that I don't have to bring as much stuff, and who knows, maybe we can talk to the team and the CF team and see if they would recommend maybe missing a treatment once in a while is okay. But I'm going to keep on trucking on with what I'm doing for now, and I would suggest that you guys do too. Let's see here. Sleeping. Sleeping has been something of a problem. A lot of people are complaining of insomnia. My personal experience, the first few days were the worst. I would wake up probably at least every hour in a panic, like very, very scared, to the point where I was even calling out for help because I didn't know what was going on or where I was, and just kind of disoriented. It didn't help that I went from being in the hospital to also living in a new house, but it was definitely this medication. So expect some changes in your sleep. To give you some perspective, I'm 5 weeks out now, and this seems to be kind of like a normal thing. Most people can't seem to get more than 6 hours of sleep. And that's me too. I love sleep. And I just can't seem to sleep in like I used to. Like most nights I go to bed around 2. It's 1 a.m. right now here, and I'm wide awake, so I'm doing this. Excuse me. I go to bed around 2, and then I'm up at like 6:30 or 7. I got up yesterday at 6:30 and cleaned my bathroom. Like, I don't know what to do with this energy. And so because we're not getting enough sleep at night and our bodies like want to wake up, some people are more tired during the day or needing naps. Like on Christmas Day, I fell asleep on the way to dinner. I wasn't driving, fortunately. And then while we were at dinner, I fell asleep on the couch for a while. So, and that's stuff that I would probably usually be doing when I'm really sick and I can just fall asleep anywhere. But in this case, I feel good. I think we're just falling asleep because we're not getting much sleep at night. I'm not sure if the waking up in a panic thing is related to vivid nightmares, because I have been having some and I don't typically. And sometimes I wake up and I'm scared and I can remember my nightmares, and other times I just wake up scared. So I don't know if it's nightmares that I'm not remembering or if this medicine just makes you feel weird. It does get better. I'm not having as much problems as I was at first, and I'm going to hope that it's going to continue to subside until it's gone. Because right now I'm not really waking up in a panic anymore. I'm just not getting quite as much sleep. Like I said, about 6 hours or less. I did have some limb weakness and shakiness throughout my body. Part of that I wasn't sure if it's I'm like so deconditioned because of how much I've been hospitalized in the last few months, or if it's this medication. I did hear of other people having this problem, which leads me to believe it could be a mix of both. And be like I'm walking around and my legs will shake or my arms will shake, and just kind of stuff like that. So now we'll get into some of a little bit of the more disgusting things, like stool changes. I've heard that a lot of people messed around with their enzyme dose because they noticed that their stools were changing. And it seemed like the general consensus were people played around with decreasing their enzyme dose. I actually had the opposite thing happen, and I had to increase my enzyme dose. For people who don't know what that means, non-CF people, enzymes are those pills I take every time I eat, because our pancreas is not functioning correctly, so we need these enzymes to get the nutrients from the food that we eat. So you take a certain amount of enzymes per the amount of fat that you're eating. And I actually had to increase my dose because my stools were all screwed up. And it's kind of still like that. I didn't increase it by much. I just made sure I was super diligent about taking the right amount. And if I wasn't sure how much I should be taking, I erred on the side of caution and took an extra, and that helped. When I don't do that, I have frequent stools that are not right. And then for the ladies, like I said, this is going to be kind of some of the gross nitty-gritty stuff, but I feel it's important to mention. Heavier period and tons of cervical mucus. Tons. I did not even know what that was until I started Trikafta, and now I know what it is. So I've heard from lots of other ladies that it happens, so not something to be worried about, just something to be aware of. And like I said, my period was heavier, but it was, still like nothing to be concerned about. And I think that covers most of the side effects. And like with that being said, I'm being super descriptive about the side effects because I want you guys to know if you're experiencing this, that you're not alone. But it's hard to put into words how much I feel like this drug is a miracle and a second chance. I really do feel that way. As far as I know, it hasn't done much for my PFTs yet. I was 48 FEV1 at discharge, and I had a follow-up, clinic follow-up 11 days after discharge. So that was about when I was on Trikafta for about 2 weeks, and my PFTs were 50. And I had to blow the shit out of it to get it to 50. So I didn't get this huge increase like everybody else did, but part of my problem is I usually was around a 47 baseline, and this last virus that I had right before I started Trikafta kicked my ass, and I think it gave me a lot of permanent damage because my lung function was all the way down to 31%. I lost a lot of weight. The whole first week I was hospitalized. We couldn't get my lung function to come up at all. So I think there was some damage there. I think if that hadn't happened, my lung function may have skyrocketed more with this medication. I'm still optimistic that it'll come up a little bit, but even if it doesn't, if it could just help me hang out here, I would be really thankful for that. And I think more so than the numbers is just about how I feel. Like I can go ride my horse even though I just got out of the hospital, and it just is a nice feeling. So like I said, my last PFT was 50. I do have a clinic follow-up in January. It's in like 2 weeks or something. So I will post another update then if things have changed at all. I'm just going to go through this really quick. Yeah, I think that covers everything. One last thing I'll say is with some people said they experienced heightened anxiety on this medication. I do have anxiety problems, and I haven't felt that way. I felt that my anxiety has actually been better. But what I have noticed is symptoms that kind of are like anxiety are presenting themselves, like the limb shakiness is a big one. And I experience that when I have anxiety. But I think this is different from that. So try to pay attention to your symptoms and see, like, is this really anxiety, or does my body feel differently, or am I experiencing maybe some side effects that are making me think it's anxiety? Not to say you may not be having anxiety, because it very well could be. But I think it's good to write everything down from day one, or maybe like make notes once a week just to kind of keep track of things so that you don't have clouded judgment when you look back and like, oh, what was happening on this day and whatever. But good news for people with anxiety, I feel like my anxiety has gotten much better. So let's hope it stays that way. Okay, guys, well, thanks for listening to me rant for 23 minutes about a medication. Yeah, and I will try to post another video about just kind of a general update on my life and my health, but that's it for now. If you guys have any questions about Trikafta or CF or anything related to that kind of stuff, I'm always happy to help, give information, and just raise awareness for CF. So please feel free to, I'm going to post this on YouTube so you can comment, or you can message me on Facebook, or whatever works for you guys, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So thank you, and I hope you guys all had a good Christmas and holidays, and Happy New Year.